Some breaking news right now on Denver 7 News at 5 o'clock. A big change is coming to Aurora's police department. Chief Vanessa Wilson is planning to resign.
President Biden is meeting with NATO leaders right now. The president is set to announce more sanctions against Russia. Here at home, a Ukrainian woman is watching the violence and destruction in horror.
All the pictures of cities which I remember as being so beautiful and happy, full of life, and now they're all in shambles.
This morning, how you can help Ukrainians get crucial medical supplies.
Also this morning, we're remembering Madeleine Albright. Coloradans are paying tribute to the first female U.S. Secretary of State who had deep ties to Denver. Of course, better known as the face of U.S. foreign policy under the Clinton administration when the Cold War ended. Thanks for joining us this morning. I'm Brian Sanders.
And I'm Nicole Brady. You know, we got through the snow earlier this week, the wind, Lisa. Now, can we finally focus on the warm weather ahead?
We can, yeah. It's going to be just a little breezy in spots today. We're not expecting the gusty, really gusty conditions like we saw yesterday. Right now at 5 o'clock, you'll find wind speeds at around 5 to near 15 miles per hour. Winds shifting, much warmer weather is going to settle in across the state, and we're going to see some really pretty conditions here. Right now, we're just above freezing, 34 in Denver. You're going to find lots of sunshine, clear skies, and a very bright eastbound drive in store. Should be at around 58 degrees. That's pretty close to our normal high, and that'll be by about 11 o'clock this morning. We'll tack on another 10 degrees, upper 60s for highs today. A really pleasant day. Denver 67, near 70, near Platteville and Erie, and in the mountains quite a few 40s. So it's going to really warm up here over the next few days. About 10 degrees warmer than that, Jason, on Sunday. We'll have your warm weekend forecast on the Super 7 Day coming up.
Oh, yeah, it looks so nice. Right now, it doesn't look so nice if you want to use the A line, the train to the plane. That is causing some delays for us here this morning because we don't have the second operator available. There's a federal mandate that you need at least a second operator on these commuter trains, different than the light rail trains. But on the commuter trains, they need a second operator, and they don't have one available for the 4:30. That's already run, obviously. The 5 a.m., the 6:15, the 6:45 to go to the airport. And obviously, a lot of folks are going to use the they want to use the train to get out to the airport, and they can't do it. So rideshare is going to be your better option for you right now. Let's take a look at I-70, where they're just opening up I-70 here at the bottom of Floyd Hill after some rock work. We'll see more of that for the next couple of weeks. They still have one lane open, one lane closed as you go down Floyd Hill, but they're picking up those cones right now. The rest of the drive looks just fine for you. Anywhere you want to go, north, south, east, or west. If you hear of a crash, I-25 downtown around Colfax, nothing there. It is wide open across downtown.
Well, we do have some breaking news this morning. Aurora's police chief, Vanessa Wilson, is planning to resign.
Let's bring in Denver 7's Veronica Acosta. Now, Veronica, we know this department has faced a lot of controversy. None really recently, though. So why is the resignation coming now?
So 3 high-ranking sources confirmed to Denver 7's Jennifer Kowaleski that pressure has been mounting against Aurora Police Chief Vanessa Wilson, and that is why she is choosing to resign. Sources say she's lost the confidence of her officers. But despite being told the chief plans to leave her position soon, the terms of that resignation, they're still being negotiated and they remain fluid. Chief Wilson, she became the interim chief in 2019. That was after the former chief, Nick Metz, retired. And it's been a tumultuous time in the department since then. By the time Chief Wilson took over, public trust in APD had already dwindled. The death of Elijah McClain in 2019 and the drunk driving scandal involving Officer Nathan Meyer had already come to light by the time that she took over. And then in December of 2019, Aurora PD detained and handcuffed a black woman and several children because they thought they were in a stolen vehicle. The vehicle they were in was an SUV. Police should have been looking for a motorcycle. Chief Wilson apologized for that. Last year in February, Chief Wilson fired 3 officers who posed for that photo you see there mocking the death of Elijah McClain. Later, Colorado's Attorney General announced charges against the paramedics as well as the officers who detained and injected him with ketamine. In July of last year, Denver 7 spoke with Chief Vanessa Wilson about the uptick in crime and the loss of officers in the department. That was at a record high last year. In 2019, Aurora PD had 52 officers leave the department. In 2020, 87. 2021, 126. So far this year, 10 officers have left. Resignations, retirements, terminations, deaths, and transfers are all included in those numbers. In October, the Aurora Fraternal Order of the Police passed a vote of no confidence. That was 442 to 16. Chief Wilson, she's the first woman to hold that position with APD. She's been with the department for 25 years. And we did reach out to the city of Aurora for confirmation on this. They told us they would not engage in, quote, speculative conversations on any personal matter. In the studio, I'm Veronica Acosta, Denver 7.
It does seem like it's been one thing after another for the last few years there. We expect this story to develop over the next 24 hours, so we will stay on top of it and bring you anything we learn on air and on the denverchannel.com.
President Biden is taking part in an emergency NATO meeting right now on the war in Ukraine. The president posed for a group photo with world leaders before the talks in Belgium this morning. He will also join a meeting of G7 leaders and the European Union. Leaders will discuss responses if Russian troops use chemical or biological weapons. President Biden is also expected to announce another round of economic sanctions against Russian politicians. These meetings and actions come exactly 1 month since Russia invaded Ukraine, and we are getting new drone videos showing the devastation in the coastal city of Mariupol. Ukrainians are fighting back. The Pentagon says they've pushed Russian forces back 34 miles outside the capital of Kyiv. A U.S. official tells ABC News eastern Ukraine is littered with the charred remains of Russian tanks. NATO estimates up to 15,000 Russian soldiers have been killed in the last month of fighting.
And because of that, Ukrainian hospitals are losing critical supplies to the Russian attack. So a group here in Colorado is preparing to send medical supplies to the region. Denver 7's Jessica Crawford joins us. Jessica, you spoke to a Ukrainian woman who is doing everything she can to organize the aid.
That's right. This is one of those situations where there is just a dire need. And that woman that I spoke with said at this point, there's really no act too small to help out those victims.
Life-saving supplies ready to be packed up and shipped out to a country under siege.
It's horrific to even think of what they do and what level of terror and genocide my people going through.
Marina Dobrova arrived in the U.S. in the 90s. Ever since then, she's done all she could to help her home country with the group Ukrainians of Colorado. When Russia began to attack Ukraine, she wanted to do more.
All the pictures of cities which I remember as being so beautiful and happy, full of life, and now they're all in shambles, they're rubble. It's unimaginable.
One of the country's greatest needs, medical supplies. This week, volunteers are needed to help get these supplies to Ukraine.
Russians cut the supply, humanitarian supply. They refused to open humanitarian corridors, or they let people leave those occupied cities and then they just shoot them in the back.
As we know, many hospitals have been bombed and people do not have medical supplies.
Does every little thing count in this situation?
I think every little thing counts in everything we do. You know, there's hundreds of millions of Americans, and if we all do something, it really adds up.
That support, Dobrova says, is needed now more than ever.
It's unimaginable situation some of our brothers and sisters are going through.
So volunteers are helping out with this today. You still have time to be able to sign up tomorrow. It's going to be at the Project Cure headquarters in Centennial, and I have a link to where you can sign up at thedenverchannel.com. Live in Denver, I'm Jessica Crawford, Denver 7.
All right, thank you, Jessica. If you are looking for ways to support Ukraine, there's a gathering Sunday at Denver's Bobby Yar Park at noon. The group Ukrainians of Colorado will host an interfaith gathering. A rabbi will speak at the event, and Denver City Council members will also be there.
Flags across Colorado are at half-staff this morning in honor of Madeleine Albright, the first woman to ever serve as U.S. Secretary of State, died yesterday from cancer. She was 84 years old. Albright grew up in Denver after her family fled Czechoslovakia in the 1940s. She attended Maury Middle School and Kent Denver School, where she founded the school's first international relations club. Her father, Joseph Corbell, was the University of Denver's first international studies dean, and the school is now named after him. We asked the school's current dean about Madeleine Albright's legacy.
She embodied the American dream, really. I mean, anybody can rise to the top. This is the daughter of an immigrant who came to this country as a young girl and rose to the highest position she could have held in this country.
Albright served as Secretary of State under President Bill Clinton from 1997 to 2001. In a statement, the Clinton family called her one of the finest secretaries of state, an outstanding UN ambassador, a brilliant professor, and an extraordinary human being.
A startling number of American workers are still earning below $15 an hour. The legislation stuck in Congress that could boost those numbers.
And you've got mail from Tom Hanks. How typewriters from the famous actor are giving students in Longmont a new pen pal.